Yeah, I just started to have a little look through to see how everybody else had done, and I kind of thought, you know what, maybe I didn't do so bad like I thought, right? Maybe just most people perceive the draft as being, bad for them, but probably better for everybody else, and maybe it was just universally average to bad for all of us, right?
Yeah, I honestly think probably my favorite pick of the first round was number two, Jonathan Quiros. I absolutely loved him as a prospect. And then Dana Baguette was great, but he's also an inside linebacker, so I think there's a little bit of, you know, positional devaluation there because I don't think they're quite as impactful, and he's also going to want a huge ass second contract as soon as he gets out there. And same kind of
Oh
with
gosh,
Doyle
yeah.
if he's used as an inside linebacker. Like I love Doyle as and he's also light. So yeah, like I just felt like all of the top end positions um really didn't have much after like the first prospect is what I would say.
I like Baguette as almost anything, right?
Yes,
Or Baguette, right?
like if I would have
Defensive
drafted
ends.
him, he would have been a DN.
I mean, he looks like an
Um,
outside
Yeah.
linebacker, right?
um, in a 3-4, yeah, you probably should run him as an outside linebacker, just because he gives you that rushing potential, and he's also going to be great in coverage. Um,
Norfolk's is 4-3,
so then
Yeah.
he should be a DN.
maybe.
That's what I would do.
Like,
Go 4-3 with him.
he
I mean,
should be a
he would
DN.
be insane.
You're giving up some
Yeah.
crazy good coverage bars.
Yeah, but you have an elite pass rusher there. Those don't come often, and they are very impactful. I can speak from experience with Stuvance that I had for a long time. He was super impactful. He was one who I switched from an outside linebacker in a 3-4 to going to 4-3 and having him play DN, and it worked really well. And he had kind of the same type of bars coming out too.
Or you can even just play both this guy, right? I mean, you could play him as a coverage guy, third down,
Yeah.
pass rusher, first and second down. He's got the endurance to play 3-4 formations, right? So I like the flexibility
I,
with him, right? That you can just do almost whatever you want.
I also got to shout out Ryland getting what I think was probably the best value pick in the first round.
The tackle.
Yep, Darnell Shields, top left tackle of the draft. Looks like a
Yeah.
solid starting left tackle for 10 years. And he
He
got him
does.
at what, 112, 113? Or no, 114.
Yeah, that was pure luck.
That was a great pick.
Fell into my lap. No way he should have been there.
No, I agree. He shouldn't have been there.
I think maybe his age turned people off. He's already 25.
Yeah, but I still think he can be well, maybe not a 10-year starter, but 8-year starter. You can run until he's 33 probably before he starts losing too much.
I thought Newton was a really good pick.
What do you think of his size? I don't know a lot about a 3-4. I got to be honest. So, is he a defensive end, really, or is it okay to play a nose tackle that small?
I think he's too big. You know, he's 5 pounds overweight for an end, and he's 15 pounds underweight for a nose tackle. So he's something of a tweener, and you could put him where you need him.
Okay, so he's a little bit like the linebacker.
I like him as a lefty end in a 4-3 or 3-4.
Why left?
The size. I believe left needs to be a little bit bigger. I know, like he's a great pass rusher, so it's like, wait, why not? But I think he can do well as a lefty end.
I think he would have no problems being an excellent lefty end. You know, he's got the pass rush to be a right defensive end even, and he's got the run stuff and the play diagnosis to be a nose tackle. He could fit in wherever he needs it. Like wherever he has a hole in his roster on the front three or whatever on the D line, he could plug it with this guy.
Yeah.
All All
Yeah,
right.
he's a great pick at that position for sure.
So what did you have in mind for structure here?
I'm kind of open. I mean, I picked out a few guys that are in the later rounds that could be interesting to look at. You know, maybe after we've had a look through perhaps the first round picks.
All right, you want to start skimming through
Um,
the first round then?
yeah, we could right. We could do a sort of quick follow up on the video like that you and Tom did. Not so much seeing whether you had the right guesses or whatever, right? But just seeing. I mean, how the players worked out. I would say that the guy that the cornerback who went 5 probably that GM's quite disappointed in what they ended up with, right? And it is there's a lot of luck involved, but maybe it would be interesting to see who turned out, who lived up to the initial hype. Was there some tells in their combines or other things, right? That's maybe were giveaways for guys that popped a bit or guys that dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can enlighten us on any of that, that'd be great.
Yeah, because we have no clue.
Yeah,
We keep
all you have
trying
do
to
is
figure it out. We really do.
look at my draft pick, and this is the guy I took at 132. He's trash. So I just set a first round pick on fire here.
Yeah, well, some of them just die, I think, right? There's nothing you can do to to predict it sometimes, that's for sure.
All right,
Well,
did
my
you guys
first
know
comment
this guy was
about
a
this
red
quarterback.
flag?
No, I didn't.
I don't think I knew. I don't think maybe I had looked because I was never in a position to get this guy, but I think that was news to me.
Yeah, I was in the same position. Like I first of all, I don't need a quarterback right now, and second of all, I was picking nowhere near where he would go. I expected he was going 1-1. I mean, it's a shame he's a red flag, but I still think that Montreal's got to roll with him. This is the first time that a top 5 quarterback pick has panned out for him in like 5 years.
Yeah, he's had a few, right? He's had a few busts. High.
2 or 3 already.
2 or
So he's got to roll with this guy.
Well, I mean, he must have known he was a red flag going in, and he's still he looks like a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's going to be a really scrambling threat as well.
Yes, he will.
Yeah. I think I mean, there's so much upside. I wouldn't worry about that red flag. I don't think. Not even at 1-1, right? If you need it.
Yeah.
If you want a good quarterback, this guy was clearly the best.
Yeah, I think.
And he needed a quarterback, so.
That looks like a good pick, right? He should be happy, if not. I mean, I wouldn't say ecstatic, but certainly happy with the results so far.
No, and this could be like the next Zellerkraut, dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, he looks good.
This guy was like an obvious stud, right? He looks,
Mm-hmm.
his bars are all almost full already. He's still only 80% developed. He looks like he's going to be an 80.
Yeah. Yep.
Another linebacker for the collection on that roster. They have got incredible defensive talent on that team. Probably too much, maybe.
I mean, they've got this guy who's going to be a 75 or so. Then they've got 2 other 70s and a 67 at linebacker.
Yeah. It's going to be a challenge to keep them all, right? So salary-wise.
Yeah, I could say as a 4-3 defensive person, when looking at this draft, I mentioned it a couple of times when we were going through our mock draft that 4-3 owners are going to be like very unhappy with where these linebackers are going because a lot of them looked like they were perfect 4-3 DNs, and it seemed like they were going to fall to places where they were going to be used as a linebacker. So I'm just like, the 4-3 owners are going to be sad.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is great pick. Looks like an impact player for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he fits the type at McCallum because if I recall correctly, they play a 3-4 and they have got loads of perfect players for a 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
So
they are a 3-4. I mean, he's a great 3-4 linebacker, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
that was
this
the
can
big
do
thing about
anything you want him to do, like we were talking about with Spaghetti.
Yeah, and I'm saying like like all of the linebacker 4-3 DN prospects that we had, like they look like they could do either and be very good at either. It's just, with where I figured they were falling, the 4-3 people were not going to be able to get their elite DNs.
This guy's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because he's big.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really
I got
big.
him as a 3-4 DN.
Dakota's a 4-3.
Yeah.
So he's missized, right? He identifies as defensive tackle. Ideal front's a 3-tech. It looks like he just needs a position switch, right? Because he's just about the perfect weight for that position, I think.
Yeah. He could position switch him to a D tackle. But then runs the question of, is it really worth it to pick a D tackle at 3?
Not
And maybe also one with this profile, right? Because he's an edge rusher type skill set.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks like a defensive end in a sort of a DT's body.
Yep. So I kind of like the player is great. I just think it was picked in a spot where he's not going to be utilized to his full potential, because he should be playing a DT in a 4-3. But I really don't think like a DT at 1-3 is worth it.
No, I mean, this is another thing where the right coordinator didn't get the right player, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah. My guess is that he will play him as an end. I think that he has in the preseason.
Well, that is some detailed information right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm curious about this guy.
You checked the preseason games? What?
Yeah, I did for this guy because I was interested to see where he ended up, just because of his size, basically.
Okay. This guy, I think he's going to be good. I think his whole rec can't be done at 57. He's only 57% developed. I think he's going to keep going up.
Yeah, I think he's going to be higher than what the scouts see the bars at right now. Go ahead, check what the league scout sees of him.
Well, exactly what we see.
Yeah.
But
no, I think this is going to be a guy who booms in second year.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw to your running back at all, he's super useful.
But I think this guy, he was the clear top end running back.
Pretty much on his bars for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the whole rec? If it stays where he is he a little bit of a disappointment?
Maybe.
Maybe not. I like 57's good enough. Maybe a little bit of a disappointment just because it's pick 4. But I still think he's going to be a good running back for a long time, even with just 57 whole rec.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, this guy.
So this is the first guy you busted, right?
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. Dropped 20 points by the league scout.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one hurts.
And if that wasn't enough, I don't know. What do you think about the size on these guys? I'm not particularly great at picking secondary guys. I don't think, but I tend to shy away from ones that are this small. Would you see him as small at 5'9", or is that actually kind of where maybe you would start to?
179 is on the smaller side for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they can still be effective. Like I run Scotty Matthews, who's 5'7", 187. I didn't draft him, but I signed him, and he's been pretty good in his career.
On the outside, or as a slot guy?
Outside.
Outside. Okay.
He's at least, closer to the weight you're looking for.
Yeah, he's closer to the weight, but he's definitely short.
Yeah, I'll show you another example of a shorty here. This guy's 5'6", and he's done all right.
Yeah. He had a hell of a season last season.
Yeah, and then he held out on me. That's another story.
Okay.
Not salty about it at all.
Yeah, but 5'6", it gave me pause when I drafted him. But his career numbers have been, I'd say, good enough. not
Yeah.
great.
No.
No, but I like that number of pass defenses per season, right? Double figures every year, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it
Yeah,
really
fair enough.
depends. Like if the bars work out, a short guy will work. If the bars don't work out, then it feels really bad. And this one is probably a very extreme example with it being 1.5. But I also thought
Yeah.
like the secondary talent in the draft that we had this year was really bad.
Oh yeah, it was.
Like really, really bad.
Yeah. I was
Like,
hoping to take an outside corner in the first round, and there was just nobody.
No, there really wasn't.
I mean, I had this guy as a second rounder. Like in my draft analyzer. Like he's outside the top 30 for sure.
Yeah.
And if I had taken him in the second round, I still would have been sad because he just didn't work out. And then you can't always predict that, but
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like his bars don't really look too shabby when you're just
Yeah,
looking at draft analyzer here.
And a question here is like, was he scouted or interviewed, and what did that interview look like?
Good grade, high developed.
His coverage pass pretty much universally came in under what the scouts saw here, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely did.
Yep.
I mean, all the bars did, it seems like.
So yeah, I think this one can be chalked up to just like a nerf stick, a random roll.
Well, I don't think he got like the volatility stick of death or whatever because his static bar, his punishing hitter, stayed the same basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, fair.
He does have super high volatility, but I think it's just a guy that wasn't that great who looked good.
And his combines are good, but they're not spectacular, right? So his agility drill was not sub 7. His 40 time was not sub 4.4. I know they're colored green in here, but they're just good combines, right?
I mean, this color green means like excellent, right? It's the darker green that means good.
Yep. So
is it excellent compared to other players in the same class, though? Or is it against some universal indicator?
Universal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm using the term excellent. I've just made that up. It just means this green is better than the darker green.
Yeah.
And his agility is not anything special. That's maybe a small tell, right?
Yeah. But with a position drill of 52 and a max interception bar, like you do expect to see some of that translate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's there's a lot of bad luck here, I think, as well.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. This guy I thought was a pretty intriguing prospect who ran 4.27.
Yeah, so he's incredibly quick, right? His agility was spectacular as well. Position drill was good. Yeah, you don't have the best offensive scouts, right? That's
No,
he
I don't have the best offensive scouts. It's pretty bad, but I think you weren't expecting avoid drops when you were drafting him, and so that's not a huge disappointment to see a low bar there. Courage and adjust the ball, you maybe could have hoped for a little better, but the main bars, getting downfield, route running, big play, he's even got third down catching. Like, he's got enough endurance. I think it's a good pick.
He should be a good wide receiver for a few years. The one thing that gave me pause about this particular prospect is 31% developed at 23.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was only 17 at the time, right? He's nearly doubled his development, but
yeah.
If he starts this year, even as in the slots without getting many targets, his development will go up a lot, right?
Yes, yeah. Like I agree with that. I think this is a guy who you're going to have to feed starts to get him developed as fast as possible.
Yeah, and 17% would give me some pause as well, but I think it's worked out here.
Yeah, it has. And another thing to take a look at is developed is 31%, and he's 40 out of 62, which really does not line up. So curious to see if he overdevelops, which
It does
would
look
be
like
great.
he could get past 62 for sure.
Yeah.
Is that not also because his route running is very undeveloped and that bar counts
I don't
more than the
know. Do
others?
they do like weighted development percentage?
Well, I have no idea if the development percentage is weighted or
Someone
not.
had told me that for sure. When
Okay.
I asked the question specifically about how can this guy be a 40-62, right? And they said those bars are not weighted the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I
That
don't
would
mean,
make
if
sense if
it's
they do weight them.
yeah.
But I would be annoyed if that's the case because that's just a little.
It makes life hard to.
Yes, yeah. It like I'd say it's a little bit deceptive. Because like you're seeing straight up numbers where you should be able to correlate like, oh, 31% developed. Look at his overall and kind of look at the bars and like, oh, hey, he should develop beyond that. That's a little bit deceptive if it's not kind of a little more even and they weight it. So that'd just be a complaint on my end of why do the numbers not match up? They should match up better.
Yeah, man, I don't know how to deal with the fact that you have statics that come out fully developed, and then route running, which is 20% developed. So
Mm-hmm.
So another interesting thing with this guy is, I mean, he's gone to Hartford in a class where there weren't that many good receivers after the reveal, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the only good receiver that they picked up in this draft. So they've got two long-term starters. I'm not sure where the other one fell, if he was in the second round or into the first. But yeah, we can pick out the other one. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, second round.
yeah, I liked this guy pre-draft, but I think he was a potentially route running issue.
Yeah, but he looks good, right? Fifth, I mean, for for a number two.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
57 will play.
Yeah, and he's got plenty big play ability as well. So they got themselves a really nice pair of receivers in the first and second rounds this year.
So at least from my scouts, the route running was scary. But
Yeah.
absolutely, he looks like a guy that can play.
Let me have a look what my guy thought. I definitely had this guy Rutter on my list. Yeah, I mean he looks like he's come out of just over the top of the bar, right? So where you see the top is basically where I see the top as well with better scouting. So he's come out as good as can be expected for that route running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've definitely infused some pass catching talent this year. Then.
Yep.
So good on Hartford. Another of the top running backs.
Was this an AI pick? This one?
Oh gosh, you'd have to check
This would be a hell of an AI pick.
check the forum to see who was AI and who wasn't. I think we went through some of that on our mock draft, but I haven't memorized who is.
Yeah, so London is hailed to Skins, who I'm not. Maybe if I look at the actual.
Well, if that's who it was, I don't think he came back.
If I look at the draft itself, yeah, no, he didn't register.
Okay, so
Okay.
we won't waste our time on that pick.
Hell of an AI pick.
I mean, grab a top running back, it works out.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
This guy dropped.
Yeah. A little, I think, right? Not drastically.
Well, enough to hurt.
Okay. Yeah.
The getting downfield, if that's what it looks like over here, 50 to 20 is painful.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know, pre-draft from my bad scout view, he definitely doesn't look like he's going to have 20 getting downfield.
No, and I remember my scouts really liked him too. Like I thought he was the top wide receiver of the class, based off of what my scouts saw, without interviewing him.
Yeah, I had Sims top and this guy second or third, I think.
I mean, he still is usable and has a role, but you would have liked to see the getting downfield stay.
Mm-hmm.
I played for years with guys worse than this. Without that, but maybe like slightly over picked, right, at 1-6, is it? 1-8?
1-8. I mean, taking a chance in the top 10 on a wide receiver doesn't. I don't see too many problems with that. I mean, we'll get to see like who we could have picked instead, but
Yeah.
you know, if I sort by receivers here, let's see what they look like.
Yeah. A useful guy. I mean, he can be a 1,000-yard receiver for sure, right?
He can.
So,
But I think with where the bars ran out, like he's probably a number 2 wide receiver in an offense just because of that getting downfield.
you would like to have him as a 2, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're.
So if they have another guy, then this is a perfect kind of third down specialist, right?
Yeah.
They certainly do. They've got this guy.
Oh, Lesky.
Okay.
Oh, he was the 1-1 pick.
This pick is fine.
So he he slots into their
Yeah.
offense nicely, and they have this guy,
Yeah, picking.
another 1-8 pick. So they're definitely going to have a good looking pass catching, and they've got a tight end. Like they're going to be in good shape. It looks like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. One of Norfolk's plentiful picks. I thought this guy was pretty clearly one of the top players in the draft.
Surprised he fell to 9, to be honest.
Yeah. Where do we, Tuson? Can you pull up the mock draft or somebody to tell us where we got him
pull up the
going?
mock draft.
Like my draft
I think
has him second best, but it's it's a hair's breadth away from the other linebacker.
Yeah. And I think his bars were basically all of them potentially 100, right? I think that's how my scouts saw him.
I had him slightly off on special teams and pass rush technique, and those are the few bars that aren't in the 90s here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no not liking this guy.
So we were kind of all over the place with Baguette. So Joe had him 1 overall. You actually correctly picked him going to Norfolk. Chris had him at number 6 to Hartford, and I had him going at 8 to State College.
All right, so we all had him in the top 10.
Yeah, we all had him
for
top
sure.
10.
Yeah, top player in the draft. Excellent. He's going to be good for a long time. Take a year or so to get a little bit more developed, but I'm sure he'll be great right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's good value at 9, you think, right?
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. But this guy's an AI pick as well, I think.
He is. You're right. That's Horsetooth.
Yeah.
Another good linebacker. He's on the light side, but in a 4-3.
Yeah, so he's a 4-3 guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another guy that it went about where people, in terms of how he looked, that should be about what people expected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have found it hard to take this guy at 110.
Really?
Yeah, just because of his position, to be honest.
Well, but you would take this guy at 1.9, no problem? This is good value and this is hard to take?
Because I think he's a defensive end, the guy that went at 1.9.
Oh, okay.
I think that's his personal taste, of course, right? But
I mean, gosh.
maybe colored a little bit by, real world NFL, right? But edge rusher definitely in the real game is prioritized a lot higher. Now, whether that translates well to front office football 8, I'm less convinced, actually, I would say. But I find it difficult to put a value on what a really good weak side linebacker in a 4-3 is actually doing for you, right? I mean, they can be on the field a lot. They're important in run defense and coverage, sure. So maybe they're actually a very high value position, and I'm just wrong, right? But personally, I think I would have looked elsewhere at 1.9 than a small weak side like that.
All right. Well, that was 110 for this lightweight line.
Sorry, 110.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're not talking bad about.
I will say I have one bias, which is I do not like light linebackers, ones that are like this far off of the
Below 230.
the weight scale. So I would not have even considered him until the second round personally. Like, I know the bars are great. I don't like playing that undersized of a linebacker.
All right.
I have a suspicion that if you pressed recommend players to the defensive depth chart, you might end up in the slots at some point, this guy. Or as a linebacker or something like that.
That probably might happen. Tucson, are you talking about his height as well?
That factors into it as well a bit.
Because for weight, he's only 6 pounds under.
Depends on which 4-3 you play. I play over.
Okay. Fair enough. Miles Montgomery. I like this guy. This is a sort of a disappointing turnout for him.
Yeah. I had my eye on this guy as well. So he didn't really drop according to that, right?
I mean, not much according to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? We already know my scouts aren't very good. So on Boston, he may look like a 59. But I don't know. I see pretty good looking bars in the draft analyzer here, and I guess they just all came in on the low end. It seems like, other than route running, which looks good.
They really did. They really did.
So based off of my scouts, which are a bit better than yours offensively, he came in below on avoid drops. He came in below on getting downfield. He fit the route running, but came in below, like way below on third down catching.
Mm-hmm.
Big play.
This is how I see him too. He came below on courage for me as well.
Yeah, way below on courage. I had max bar for courage, like 75 to 100.
Yeah, he's got 15 bench press, so there's very little reason to suspect he would come in under, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So speaking of, he's 48% developed and 38 out of 51. That looks like it's going to go up a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
So there may be some reason to hope that he looks better in year 2 than he does.
But once again, that could be the weighted, if that exists, with the route running being, less than 50%.
Yeah, I'm looking for some possible hope here, right? Like, do we think that as a rookie at 48%, he's maxed out endurance and special teams and getting downfield? Like, those don't usually come full like that, do they? Well, let's keep track of that a little bit as we look at some other wide receivers in the first round. I don't think that those bars should come out like a static.
No, right.
So I'm thinking he could go up a little bit. We'll see what happens.
And he's not a disaster, right?
No,
it's
I mean,
not a disaster. It's a fine pick.
70 something route running, 40 getting downfield, 59 big play. He can play.
Yeah, definitely.
This pick is terrible.
Here's my guy. Yeah.
This shouldn't have happened. I don't know who let this happen. Good Lord.
Yeah, he's looking good. He is looking good.
Yeah, this is the best running back, right?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's either him or Flick, and I like Goss's bars better.
Yeah, he looks amazing.
Yeah. I was not expecting to take a running back this high, but I think he was the best player, or the best kind of impact player that was available by now. I really liked his pass receiving stuff because I will use him to catch a lot of passes as well. Mm-hmm. I'm curious about just playing in as a receiver, in some formations, right? I don't mean like, like maybe as a third receiver in a 203 or 023 or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure exactly how that will work out, but I think it's worth to give it a shot.
I'd like to see the experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people do that sometimes. I think that with those kind of bars, it could work. He's obviously a little bit heavy for a wide receiver, but bars are bars sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I've long been curious about how you could kind of have a Debo Samuels in FOF8, right? And you can't put a wide receiver in a running back slot, I don't think. But this guy you can put in as a receiver, right? So I think I will give it a try here and there.
All right, well, do it against Colorado.
Yep, and Salt Lake City, of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, if we were talking about value, this has got to be one of the higher ones we've looked at so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our division that had first round picks, all picks right in a row here. You got a great pick. I really like this pick from Colorado. We've talked about it already a little bit. I thought he was one of the better players in the draft. To get him at 113 is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like my draft analyzer has him 5th.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit on Discord on the day of the draft, and he was really hoping to get defensive front, right? So he was left with several ideal picks here, I think, actually. And this guy is going to be good for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna be a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be sacking me plenty. Then
Well, he will be, except this guy will be in his way.
I mean, he's got a good overall, but like, 68 pass blocking isn't that amazing, right? Like that's his weakness.
Relatively, yeah, but I think he looks great. And
I think it's gonna be fun.
I mean, I thought he was going to be the 4th best player in this draft according to Draft Analyzer, right? He's dropped a little bit.
yeah,
So.
he could go up again.
He could
next year for sure.
I mean, no matter what, I got a starting left tackle at 114, and I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah. And as a steal at the position, right? One at the spot 114.
Yep.
And a little bit of a trend in the IFL that offensive line guys are getting picked later than they should in the first round the last couple of years, I think.
Interesting. I hadn't noticed that. I tried to trade up to take this guy starting at around 1.8 or so. I got either rebuffed or ignored, or it was an AI or whatever, and then he eventually just held me. So that was pure luck, and I'm happy about that. Here's another offensive lineman. I mean,
so this guy looks like it depends. I mean, if you're a running team, he's fine, right?
I mean, he can still pass block.
Yeah,
He's got better pass block than my guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would prefer to have those bars a little bit more balanced, right? So the blocking strength being low on this, the kind of the shape looks a bit odd to me, but
that's fair.
Again, it's just kind of instinct as much as based on evidence, I would say, right?
Yeah, and this is another situation where I don't know that his endurance bar is what it looks like. He's 59% developed. I have to assume that endurance bar is going to go up a little bit. Like my guy is 58% developed, and his endurance bar isn't fully developed. No two prospects are exactly the same or whatever, but at 59%, I'm thinking that endurance bar is going up, and that's what his draft analyzer sort of suggests, right? Is it looks like it's not. I mean, 27 is it's below the bottom of the blue here. I think his endurance will go up a little bit and make him look a little better.
So let's say, hypothetical question, you were doing a little bit of opposition scouting and you saw a guy like this playing left tackle. So would you be inclined to put your best pass rushing strength pass rusher on the right of your formation against a guy like this? Is that blocking strength enough of an issue that it could be exploited, or is that just...
I mean, it depends what your line looks like. If you've got guys that are the exact weights that they're supposed to be, like, do you want to mess with that and put the guy that's 10 pounds in the wrong weight on either spot now? And then you happen to have if you happen to have that matchup, I guess you could try to take advantage of it, but you'd have to
I think
have,
I would be tempted at least, right?
you'd have to have kind of a homogeneous D line for that to work out, I think.
Well, in a 3-4, you could play a kind of, defensive end type guy on weak side linebacker, maybe, right? Try to, put a heavy pass rush strength guy coming off the edge. I don't know. I mean, occasionally I've tried things like that. I think it can be hard to really know on a game by game basis whether that's working or not, right? Because there's a lot of reasons why they could have a good or a bad game that are not just 1-versus-1 on the bars, but it's something like that would give me slight pause when I look at this guy's blocking, right? That there's such a sort of uneven distribution between blocking technique and blocking strength here.
That's fair. I think it's in terms of getting a left tackle at 115. That's not too bad though.
Yeah.
No, and that at the same time, solid pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is Hartford just killing the draft here.
Yep.
Yeah.
This guy I had rated pretty high. I had him at 6th overall or something. He falls to 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the bars were good. He looked like he was going to be good, and lo and behold, he's good.
Yeah.
He's come up a little
He's
bit
really
too.
good. Yeah, he has. Yeah, fantastic pick.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like the same size as Spaghetti. What kind of defense does Hartford run?
4-3 over.
They run a 4-3, so he could.
He should be at the end.
I mean, gosh, it just depends how much you like these coverage bars. 99 bump and a ton of zone and great play diagnosis.
If I was playing against a good tight end, then I think I would play this guy linebacker, to be honest.
I mean, you could throw him in on 3rd down. He could rush the passer, or he could play coverage. He could do.
Yeah.
He can do it all. He looks like a great pick.
Yep. And another one who has enough endurance where he probably can play all 3 downs.
Yeah.
I love guys like this for a 4-3 defense where you can put them linebacker or defensive line and they're just going to be fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, another really high value pick here. Irving Marshall. Now I liked this guy pre-draft. Where was he? Okay, so he's lost weight because he was 317 before the draft.
Okay, interesting. So now he's a defensive end weight.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 3-4 end. He looks like a great one, right?
Yeah. Except for
I think he does.
Rally is a 4-3.
Are they?
Yep. 4-3 over.
Okay, so he's going to be.
Or sorry, 4-3 under.
Okay, so he's a defensive tackle for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, well, that's confusing.
Yep. The 3-4 players were taking all the 4-3 DNs. The 4-3 players were taking all the 3-4 DNs in this draft.
Well,
if he's going to play defensive tackle, well, maybe the position will switch at some point.
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't drop his weight from 317.
No, you wouldn't.
Play him as a 4-3 defensive tackle, right? I'm sure he must be going to D end.
Yeah, I think I have to agree.
Yeah.
And he looks a little heavy, but he's got bars, so I think he'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's fast, right? So I think he'll be fine if he plays off the edge.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the right bars in the right places.
I don't know, he's like 4.95. I wouldn't say that's fast.
But for a defensive tackle, I think that is on the fast side.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're playing him as a DN.
Yeah, I think if you switch him to DE, like if you actually position switch him to DE, I think next year his 40 time will show up at like 4.7 or something.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but that's my theory.
That'd be an interesting one to watch out for.
Yeah.
That kind of switching of the combines after the initial set of values you see year on year, I don't really understand how that works. But that's a good kind of data point to keep an eye on. I think if his 40 yard went down, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's not something I track, but I just don't think it would make sense to keep him at 4.95 and then still have all the bars that translate to a good 40 time. So we'll see. J.C. Butler, another Norfolk pick. Looks like an accomplished pass rusher.
He does. He dropped, right? I think.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah. If it was me and I got a 50-something rated defensive end in the first round, I would be a little bit sad, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can get them later.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, he failed the agility bar test, right? And so you can't be super shocked to see his run defense come down.
That's his run defense, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks like a pass rush specialist a little bit.
Yeah.
He does.
And I'd definitely be disappointed a little bit with 118 being just a pass rush specialist.
Yeah, so it's not ideal, but at the same time, he's got a very usable skill.
He does.
You
But I still think
hope
you can
for
get
a more
those guys
complete
later.
player.
So, yeah, I mean, he's got Dana Baghetti hanging out just behind him, so maybe he's fine.
He's also
He will just cover all the slack. It's fine.
Yeah.
he's also only 20, so I don't know what that says for his development and if he's going to get better here.
Yeah, and his size is fantastic, right? 6'4", 287.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's solid. It's just I would be slightly sad that it dropped. And there was maybe signs that he might not be quite as good as he looked initially. But again, it's not a disaster, right? And yeah, could improve.
He's also very fast DN. That 4.66.
Yes, that is pretty quick, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Albert Mino. This guy must have dropped, right? Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, I think he did a little. Yeah.
Enough to hurt.
I was high on this guy before the draft, I think. I thought he was going to be good. I thought he was going to be a pass rusher.
You had him going to me at 124.
Okay.
So he got picked ahead of where you had him going.
Super good play diagnosis, run D pass rush technique. Are they a 3-4?
They're a 3-4, so he looks
yeah.
good for a weak side linebacker, right?
Yeah.
Looks better as a pass rusher in a 4-3. Just saying.
Because he can't cover.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you blitz him instead of making cover, that works out okay in the 3-4. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he's another. I don't want to say one-dimensional because he has run defense, but he's not three-dimensional. So
I think he looks okay. I don't have, like I said before, I don't have a lot of experience at all with a 3-4, but I think if I was playing a 3-4, I'd be happy to have a guy like this on the roster.
So I've played 3-4. This would be a guy who I'd be blitzing as much as possible.
Yeah.
When he's fully developed.
yeah, I think he fits that role well.
And he also plays very well as a base against two wide receiver linebacker.
Yeah, that makes sense. Adding to the defensive talent on McAllen still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This guy's good.
However,
Yes, he is.
he is undersized.
He is. That's
Are they a 3-4?
like,
They are 3-4
Yeah.
people.
yeah.
Well, that trend continues then.
So, yep. I'm not even going to say it, just throwing it out there.
Get a 4-3 defensive coordinator. That's the solution
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
He looks like he's jumped from my view of his
Yes.
bars.
Yeah. He turned out better than
Yeah, he had a big nice
what
bump,
was
nice big
expected.
bump.
Yep. This is I think really the first player that we can say boomed.
Maybe. Did your running back boom?
Mine?
He did a little, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, this is a great pick, I think.
Mm-hmm. If he was fourth.
If he's a what?
If he was fourth.
Well, if he's 3'4", he's only
I mean,
slightly
he's
heavier.
he's still a 3'4" DN, but he's undersized.
Or
By
he's
quite a
slightly
bit.
oversized as his fifth 3'4" linebacker.
No, he's still way oversized. I could see him playing him as a blitzing linebacker in a 3-4, and then switch him to the line on like third in passing situations.
Right. He's at best he's 14 pounds underweight for a defensive end, and at best he's 19 pounds overweight for a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
They're not too far off that he couldn't be the wrong size for both of them a little bit. But nonetheless, I think you got to be happy with this pick, especially if you can maybe have him gain or lose weight or change your coordinator somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm. And he should be able to gain weight at 6'4", only 281.
Another good linebacker.
Yeah.
Because this is a new GM, right? It's one that I haven't played against, at least, although they've been in the game a lot longer than I have, I think. Do you guys know Steel Stone, is it?
I don't think it's. I think there's in the FOF world. I think there's a Steel Stone, and then there's a Steel, and they are different people.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Steel Stone.
I thought this was Steel. Check the draft page, Tuson. What does it say?
We didn't have the GMs in our mock.
Yeah, I don't know why we fucked that up, but we did.
Yeah, I'll have to change it so that we can paste it in there easy. I would say it was Steel. This is Steel.
It is Steel. All right, so this guy is another big boom.
Yeah.
He's got to be ecstatic with this pick, right?
Yep.
Must be.
No matter what defense you're running, this guy can do it.
Yep.
Yep. Very good pick on a roster which is already good.
Yeah. Yep. They should stay on top of that division, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, not much to say other than great pick.
Yeah, it's really great pick.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Yep.
You found a diamond in a draft that had very few.
All right.
Now.
Miguel Langfelder went to Orlando. Orlando, I believe, is now going to be run by. I'm slacking on his name right now, but Tuson, do you remember who the owner of the Jets is in TFL?
That's Frankie Stars, right?
Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie.
I think he's going to take over Orlando, and so
Did he do the draft or?
No. I think he's like in the process of picking up the Pirates, so he wasn't doing any of the drafting. So this was AI. So
yeah,
he looks like he came in a little bit under what he looked like.
Yeah.
To my scouts.
If I picked him in the middle of the second round, be fine.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like he can be a starting D end and a fine one, but he has dropped a little bit.
His endurance has dropped quite a lot, which is a shame because I think that's quite an important bar for those guys, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes.
All right. Part of this interesting wide receiver class.
So they didn't get drafted quite as quickly as you and Tom had them down as, I don't think. On the previous video, I think you had quite a lot of receivers going a little bit higher than this, like people taking a shot and reaching a little bit.
Yeah, both of us play in other leagues where I think that's more of what happens, and we get a little bit influenced by that.
Yeah, I've seen it for sure. Will he go
What
one
I would
five,
say
1 to
is-
5 or whatever?
Rylan once again nailed this pick in his mock that we did.
Okay.
He actually nailed the last two.
Lucky. But I will say, even though his overall is not anything to write home about, 80 route running, 80 getting downfield, and 50 big play with some courage. That's a
Yeah,
receiver you can
if
use.
you wanted 4 bars, that's the 4 probably you would pick, right? Unless you had a specific
You know, some
hole
people
in
might
your
like third
roster.
down catching, but I think you're right. I think that his endurance is unfortunate, and there's nothing you can do about that. But you can get 1,000 yards out of this guy for sure.
Yeah, he can still make an impact.
His endurance is the most likely reason why he wouldn't make 1,000 yards, right?
Yeah, like you'll have to pick and choose what formations you can put him in. But with 86 route running, he can catch all the passes out of the formations that he can play.
Yeah.
This is a guy who I think slants and screens are
Yep.
something that I would run him on a lot.
Yeah. Red zone guy, maybe?
Yep, red zone as well. Like I have a similar a similar type to this, and I've had other similar types to this as well, and I've had success with feeding them some targets.
Who's your comp here?
The comp now on my roster is underutilized because I have better, which is Antonio Honeycutt. He's not quite as good, but very similar comp.
Very similar.
Mhm.
Down to the 2 endurance as well.
Laporte is just like a slightly better version of this, right?
Yes. That I kept making the joke that I don't need to draft Laporte. I already have Laporte at home.
And you got him at 326 or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, but like I think in the end, maybe slightly disappointed that his endurance has come down and his getting downfield has actually come down a little bit by the league scouts, but still I think a very usable receiver in the mid-20s is a good pick.
He's going to have some juice.
I would also say, like, just with the draft class that we have, I think this is a win for a pick, actually.
I agree.
I agree.
All right, Madison, what do you think about
I
your
don't want
running
to talk
back?
about this pick. I'm very disappointed.
I mean, he's not a 46. I'll tell you that right now.
No, he's not. I see him higher.
Okay, what do you think?
I think out of 52 overall is what he is.
Okay,
I'm a little disappointed because he looked a little better.
I actually like him. I mean, I like him a little bit like I like Laporte. He's got juice where it counts, and yeah, he's got some really weak bars, but they're probably getting downfield aside, maybe not that important, and he's got enough endurance to be able to stay on the field. I think he could be good.
I mean, because of my terrible running back situation, this is RB1 on my team. I was hoping for a little better, and League Scout had him drop by 7 overall. My scouts also had him drop. It was a 52 overall, now it's 43 out of 48. But that doesn't line up at all with his development percentage. So
yeah, I was going to say it's crazy.
For a boom in year 2.
No, there's no way this is what he is. He's going to go up.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm really hoping so. It's just I've had such shit luck with running backs, drafting them like 2nd, 3rd, 4th round over the past 3 seasons, and having everyone bust. That to see another running back that I take just drop, very disheartening. But there is a lot of hope for this one. So I'm trying not to get too down on the pick.
No.
Yeah, and I think if you'd waited till the 3rd round, you wouldn't have got him, right? You have
no. Like,
you have to reach
I don't even
these
think I
guys
could have waited till the 2nd and got
to
him.
the 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I had to take him, and I actually mocked him to me. So I got the guy who I was looking for. The other thing is like I will always have the because I had my choice of him or Blanchett. So I'm always going to compare him to Blanchett. I obviously went with the better combine. Between
Blanchett, I scouted.
4.61 scared me.
I actually interviewed Blanchett.
Okay.
And I would have taken him in the 2nd round if he had got down to me, even though I had already taken one, because he came back very underrated.
Okay. That's not what I want to hear, but
Yeah, but this guy's still good.
Oh yeah,
On that kind of
I can't complain too much. It's more of just PTSD from taking 3 running backs in the last 3 drafts and seeing them all bust, and then seeing this guy drop was just a gut punch.
I don't know where your offensive line is at, but he's ready to go, right? I mean, he's ready day one.
It's all right, but my offensive line is definitely geared a little more towards pass blocking, just because of my quarterback, who has very bad
Left tackle
sense
is all right.
very bad sense right. I mean, he still puts up great numbers,
Yeah.
but like I feel like I do have to prioritize a little more of that pass blocking just to make it work. Plus, I didn't have running backs, so I was passing a lot.
I mean, you've got at least 50 run block at all your spots. Like, I think you'll be able to
Yeah,
run
like
the ball.
I still think like my run blocking is very good for what I've done, but I definitely have prioritized pass blocking a little more.
Yeah,
You can do what Ryland does and run this guy on reverses 20 times a game.
I have bad luck with reverses, so we'll see if I throw some in.
If this guy can't
I
run
will
a
probably
reverse,
play with them because I think he could be a reverse guy. So I'll probably play with that a little bit, but I'm telling you right now, I have had terrible luck with reverses, so
Honestly,
I'm very shy to put them into the game plan.
I'm looking forward to the first time you put him in for a reverse, and he goes for -7 yards, and you lose your shit about how I never should have drafted running back with elusiveness.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
All right.
I'm predicting 4.7, 4.8 yards per carry in his first year.
Oh wow!
Please.
I'm
Please.
predicting 4.25.
I would take 4.25. I think my team has been for the last 3 seasons sub 4, with one of the years being like almost sub 3. So
Yeah, but yeah. But
he's
I think
he's
he'll
an
be good.
obvious improvement over what I have.
Just don't run him I formation behind the center, right? I don't think he's built for that, but anything else?
No, I'll run him behind my left tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
All
21 all day.
Continuing the interesting wide receiver class, I think Tom got himself a great wide receiver here at
He did.
125.
This was a guy who you had going a lot higher in our mock.
I was a believer in this guy pre-draft.
Yeah, you had him at 111 to Boston.
Very good combines.
Well,
Yeah.
Solar Sismic was maybe a slight worry. I don't know what color group he was.
9-10. He's a Virgo, green.
Green? Okay.
You're right. Desola isn't anything to write home about, and he failed the position drill. But that sort of translates to his bad avoid drops, which was apparent before the draft, right? And he ended up with the bars you would hope to end up with.
Yeah. No,
I would not let his position drill bother me, to be honest.
No.
With drafting a guy like this, I think it's
I mean, certainly not at 125.
no.
No, this is a guy that should have gone higher, probably, unless people are really sticklers about endurance. But
That's a little low, isn't it? It's a little low.
But again, he like Laporte, you can find ways to get this guy at 1,000 yards, no problem.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, good pick for Tom.
Very solid. Yeah.
This guy.
Okay, this guy. This guy.
we talked about him a little bit during the draft, right?
Yeah, so I've seriously considered taking him at 112. And I was a tiny bit worried about his route running. And he came up, I think the 61 that he's showing now was pretty much the maximum, or maybe even slightly over the maximum, what my scout saw he could get to.
Mm-hmm.
He's massive.
Yeah, he is a unit.
Yeah, he's huge.
I really liked him. He was a real case of my mouse was like hovering over select this player, right? And I just couldn't quite. And I was like, yeah, if his route running was 60, he'd be ideal, right? But I'm not sure it's going to get there. There was a risk he might be 35, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a really great pick. I didn't. No, did I? I think I didn't.
Tucson, where did I have this guy in the mock?
Looking, you had him going to Hartford at 116.
Yeah, another guy
He
I
was
thought
kind of
should've
he
gone.
was one that we kind of disagreed on the value of him. I think this was a guy who I was trying to find a fit team-wise, like who needed a tight end and couldn't really find a fit until late in the first round. So like I knew he was going to go higher than that, but I when I do the mock draft, I definitely lean into where I feel like teams need the upgrade.
I'm of the opinion that every team needs a tight end, even if they've got one already. Why not have two?
True.
Two guys like this would be amazing.
I mean, you
I
can't
see,
call only plays out of 1-2-2.
Want a bet?
Yeah, you can only call so many plays out of 1-2-2, right?
But no, I do enjoy having two good tight ends. It's been something that I've run for a long time.
There's 023.
There's 0-2-3. Yeah,
There's 221.
there's 1-3-1.
There's
There's other things out
131.
there.
There's
I
enough
actually-
formations to justify two tight ends for sure. There is.
So Rylan, what I say, like you had him high. I had him still in the first round, but lower than where I thought he was going to go. Chris picked another tight end, Fred St. Louis instead, and Joe didn't have a tight end going in the first round.
This guy not going in the first round? I mean,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, I was hoping this guy would make it in other 6 picks, but that didn't
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so great pick for Columbia.
This was a
He
guy
loves
where
his
I was
stacked
like,
offense.
if he does manage to drop into the second round, I'm trying to move up as far as I can in the
Oh,
second
gotcha.
round to get him.
Yeah.
Even though
think
I
also
already
was
have
thinking
two
2-1.
very playable tight ends, I'm like, I could pick another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a stud and a great offense for them.
Yeah, this guy could get 1,300 yards in the right offense, I think.
Yeah.
Which
With
is,
that route running?
yeah, I think he could.
Yeah.
I think he could. Yeah.
Wow.
Because he's going to get a lot of yards after catch. I think he can score a lot of touchdowns.
Well,
And actually, what I'm curious about is whether we said that Tom got a really good pick, the pick before. I think I would still rather have picked that guy, the tight end, than Schwartz.
Interesting. Well, I know Tom needed a wide receiver more, probably.
Yeah,
because
he did.
He just
Because
lost.
he had
his guy retired.
yeah.
And he's got 250s at tight end right now. You know, a 50 is not a 70, but if you look at his wide receiver group, I don't know, he just lost his wide receiver 1 to retirement. So
I think it's an interesting question whether Schwartz can outperform that tight end.
oh man,
Season on season.
if we're
First year,
doing
absolutely not.
we've been placing a few little markers and wagers here. I'm absolutely certain that Schwartz can outperform McAlpin in terms of pass catching.
What I'll say is first year, I don't think so. If they get the same amount of targets, I think the tight end will put up better numbers. But once they're developed, like Schwartz is going to outperform them.
So the problem here is how he's used, right? In my system, this guy would outperform Schwartz. I'm certain of it.
Interesting. Well, that
And if he got
probably,
less than 1,000 yards, I'd be disappointed.
I mean, he's going to get less than 1,000 yards.
But why?
Because he's going to get look, he's going to step into an offense where, the last
Okay, yes.
good got 100 targets, right?
Yep.
And he's not going to average 9-10 yards a target, is he?
Yeah. Why not?
Because
He could average way more than that, I think.
I mean, if you can do that on 100 targets, then you need to be drafting tight ends like this, and not running backs. But
Well,
I don't
I've
think
got
most
a really
people
good
can
tight
do
end.
that. What's
And I
that?
didn't think I've got a good tight end, but I didn't think his route running was going to come out over 50. That's why I didn't draft.
Well, I mean, I don't think that. I think those are very lofty standards, and you may be able to accomplish that. But I think most people are going to be getting less than that.
That could also be true. I mean, you have to target them a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would target a guy like that a lot.
All right.
Okay.
Time for another disappointing pick.
From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Now, I liked this guy before the draft. I will happily admit that I was wrong on this guy. I thought great interception bar, super fast. He'll have man D. He'll have enough endurance.
Wow.
Run D. Everything looked like it was going to be pretty good, and he just crashed.
I will say this guy did not make my cut for first round picks. I only have one DB going in the first round, and it was Brian Douglas. Actually, to you, Boots, is where I mocked him.
I'm glad I didn't get him.
Yeah. Dodged the bullet.
I did.
But no, I was really, really low on this DB class. Like,
Yeah, it was terrible.
So
Also, we were talking about.
I think I kept shitting on them the whole time that we were doing the mock draft. So
we talked about size a little bit on the other guy. This guy had great size.
Yes, he did.
Um,
Is this guy a cornerback now? What do you think?
I think he's been changed to a free safety, so no, I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, he was a cornerback.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really understand that, but maybe he plays.
Well, size, I suppose, is one factor, right?
My best guess is he needs bump in his corners, and this guy doesn't have it, and so he's made him a safety.
I have definitely seen people get good individual performances out of safeties that are basically man-to-man defenders.
Interesting.
I don't know exactly how they do it, but not all high-performing safeties are pure zone guys, so far as I can see. But I don't know how it works. Really.
I'm a simple man. I assume my safeties need zone, but you're right. I've seen exceptions to that rule.
Yeah.
I'm like, zone, interceptions, run D, play diagnosis, we're good.
Yeah. We'll see with this guy. But I mean, yeah. It's another one where you're going to feel a bit sad afterwards, right? But he's really dropped a lot.
Yeah. Oh yes, he was sad about this.
Yeah.
And I don't see much hope for him turning the corner and coming back up. So it just looks like an unfortunate
No. He's got 3 combines which are not very good, really, right?
Does he? I mean, obviously the bench is good.
Yeah, failed the bench, and then the agility and broad jump. But I mean,
who cares about broad jump though?
Broad jump, you don't care about that.
I only see one combine that's really bad here.
For sure, really bad. But there's 3 which are suboptimal, maybe, out of 6, right? So you could kind of argue a little bit that half of his combines are maybe
Are you including
a little
broad
bit.
jump?
Yeah,
I
not because it relates to a bar, but just because, the overall picture of, if that broad jump was green, it wouldn't correlate to a bar, but it would make you feel better about he's got a lot of green combines.
It would correlate to a bar though. It would give him punt or kick returns.
One that matters.
I mean, Joe does love his special teams players, so.
True. All right. This is some good value, I think.
Yeah.
Getting
Pretty
a
nice.
starting left tackle at 128.
Will hold a lot.
He's a big boy as well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he looks good. He's ready to start, right?
He must have dropped. No, he's gone up.
No, he
I'm
went up.
confused. Well, my team thought this guy could run block better than what it looks like, I think. And we had run blocking better than pass blocking, not vice versa. But my scouts are obviously bad. But
Yeah, and his pass blocking, based off of what your scouts see, he went beyond it.
right, so that's confusing.
And he's gone up 12 pounds as well.
Wait.
He probably gained weight
That doesn't make sense.
in training camp.
I mean, unless he's going to play right tackle this year, maybe.
Does he already have a left tackle? He does have a left tackle.
So yeah,
This guy's
looks like
about
he's
to be a
playing
right tackle. Oh, he's been playing right tackle in preseason.
There you go. Preseason scouting.
Okay, but he was how much before? 316, and a right tackle is like 319, right?
I think he didn't need to do the weight gain.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, that confuses me, but
Well, he's a right tackle now, for sure.
and a good one.
And a good one, yeah.
Yeah, that got to be happy with that pick.
Yeah. This is another example of O-line guys falling a little bit too deep in the draft, I think.
I think this guy fell mainly because of his soul.
Oh, he's dumb, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
All right,
I know just from personal experience, I try to stay away from dumb linemen because I've had in the past a very dumb O-line and broke records in penalties set. So, yeah, like I see a dumb lineman with good bars, I'm like, yeah, maybe if you're still there in the third round, I'm not taking you in the first two.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely why he drops, I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this was
And honestly, I think this Becker was a guy who I had who was getting auto drafted by AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
This is a guy I was hoping would make it to the second round somehow. He is huge, 6'7". He was
Yeah, he's interesting.
He was 300. He's gained weight up to 312. He's a great pass rusher, and his run defense has gone up. Despite he failed the agility drill, and his run defense has boomed basically.
Why not? Yeah. Mysterious.
Yeah.
So he did, zero play diagnosis is too bad. Is he a 3-4 Tucson?
Pittsburgh. Yes, 3-4 Eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
wish he had play diagnosis, but he's going to be very good.
So the Eagle has one very heavy end as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? You want him to weigh?
He's perfect.
312.
Yeah.
So he's had him gain the exact right amount of pounds to fit that role.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is at 129. I think this is a great pick.
May
I'm
he
jealous.
approach as much as possible against me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy is going to be in your backfield a little bit.
May he misdiagnose plays as often as possible.
Please.
All right, so well done to Charles over there in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah. They got a very solid roster top to bottom too.
Yeah, they do,
Yeah,
and they already had good pass rush. This guy just adds to it. All right, this guy was an interesting pick from our commission.
I think he thought he could bump him to wide receiver.
Oh, definitely. He was supposed to be a wide receiver. Look at these bars.
Yeah, right.
He looks
So
like
I guess
he had him lose weight. He went down to exactly wide receiver weight, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's still planning to convert him because he doesn't look like much of a running back.
No,
and
I
West
think
Virginia doesn't really hand the ball off.
No, I still think this is a swap over to wide receiver. I'm curious to see if he's going to do the position swap. I think he should if he's going to play wide receiver. But this guy is going to play wide receiver snaps for him.
Although I suppose it's possible if he just throws the ball to the running back, he stays at running back. But I also thought that this guy was on his way to being a wide receiver. No, he must be because he's dropped the weight.
He's also
getting downfield and route running drops. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
What did you say, Tuson?
I'm saying he's going to be if he runs, he can run reverse plays with this guy.
Oh yeah, that's true. But he just doesn't run the ball. I don't think.
Yeah.
But he's got everything.
His pass catching bars dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's getting downfield dropped, route running dropped, third down catching dropped.
This is a guy who I think I would have taken and tried the exact same thing if he had made it 2 more picks.
Yes, we had that discussion actually because I remember when this guy went off the board, I'm like, wide receiver swap? You were like, yep. And then you had said that you were kind of looking at him to potentially do the same thing at 132.
If you look at the league scout, those pass catching bars are all about 70,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've come down a little bit.
which would be very nice, right?
Yeah.
So if you were going to switch this guy, and you kind of, let's say you clicked on the change position button, what are you looking for in terms of whether it's safe to proceed or not, right? Because you get this kind of estimate of how much their ratings will drop. You know what I mean? It says their
Well, like
ratings will
it
drop
depends.
to.
It's a combination of factors because if this guy's got 50 route running that we're looking at, and it tells you that you're going to get an 80% conversion, a wide receiver with 40 route running might not be
Right?
might not be that useful to you.
Mm-hmm.
But at 194 pounds, I'm thinking the conversion rate is in the 90s,
Yeah.
and I'm honestly confused why he hasn't already made him a wide receiver so that he can start getting his reps in the preseason as a wide receiver. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting to see what he decides to do with this guy.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he hasn't cut him yet, but maybe he's a cut candidate. Maybe he's decided this guy's just not worth investing in.
Well, he cut the next guy. So maybe you can't cut two.
Oh, and he's been picked up already by Norfolk.
Yeah, I had to go picking up this guy as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if this tells you anything, it's that he doesn't want a wide receiver with 40 route running.
Yep.
And this guy, I didn't think he looked as bad as this.
No.
His combines are solid.
His combines are beyond solid, right? Like, that's a lot of green.
Yeah.
I know you said you don't care about that broad jump, but here it is in green. Yeah, it's a confusing outcome a little bit.
Check the league scout. Interesting. Yes, I mean, like, just based off of his combine, you would expect him to hit a little harder on those bars. And
I'm honestly surprised that he cut this guy. I mean, he's not great, but
I mean, he is very particular in what he wants, and so I mean, I can understand, like, if he gets a player that he doesn't want and he's not going to use him. I understand the wanting to get him off your roster. I still think he could have tried to trade this guy instead of just cutting him.
Yep. Or just wait until next year and see if he bumps, right? I mean,
Does he look like he's going to bump to you?
Well, I mean, sometimes they bust and they don't look like they're going to bust. Sometimes they bump and they don't look like they're going to bump, right? I mean,
that definitely does happen.
Yeah,
this guy doesn't give any signs to me that he's going to bump, other than 96 volatility.
Yeah, and strong combines. I mean, probably he wouldn't, but yeah, and he's got good signs as well. I would have kept him, but I'm not playing the same kind of system like Roach with, the same particular attention to really specific details on the receivers or whatever. So,
well, he's got a crowded wide receiver room with 11 on the roster. So he decided he's got 11 guys he likes more than this guy. And that's not including Cage, who may become a wide receiver still.
Yeah, if I was going to cut one, I probably would have cut Cage, but yeah. We'll see. I mean, yet another nice first round pick for Norfolk this year.
Right? They're fourth.
Yeah.
All right. And lastly, this terrible
this guy. Yeah, you can't be too happy about this one.
No, he looks like he should get cut.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure I can afford to cut him. We'll see what happens.
He's not good, is he?
No, see if I can find him in the draft analyzer. Having to scroll this far is a bad sign.
There he is.
You just
that.
You did.
All right, so he failed his bench, which is a reason for concern and a reason to believe that maybe he's not going to be good. But his bench didn't change here.
No.
Mm-hmm.
He lost everything else.
Yeah. And
It's
that
not quite
endurance is a killer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a a believer of endurance is not as big. I haven't seen really too much of a drop off from it, so it certainly doesn't steer me away from picks. But I would be disappointed if I drafted a guy who showed the endurance of those bars from the draft analyzer and then drops down to an 18. Because I
Yeah.
would be banking on the endurance staying high.
Yeah. So I don't have any explanation for why this guy sucks as much as he does, but other than yes, he failed his bench.
Yeah, and the analyzer
He's got a
thought
high
that impacted his
volatility.
combine a lot, right?
What's that?
So his combine is a minus number in analyzer. So
Yeah.
that bench failure was impacting his overall score a lot. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's down to personal choices. How much do you want to penalize for a missed score? My scoring has it as -10.
It's a little bit like that cornerback I think we were looking at earlier, right? Where I said it would give me concern that in a first round guy, any red combine is a risk at least, right?
Yeah, fair.
So you have to sort of, just accept that it could go wrong like it probably has done here. Very smart though. So,
I've overlooked it in the past and done okay, but not this time.
you did good on the quiz team.
All right, well that concludes the first round. I know you had some other guys that you wanted to highlight.
Yeah. Let's have a little look here. 7th round. Why not? So look at that tight end McKnight that Raleigh picked up.
He looks very useful.
I like this guy for a 7th round
pick.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got extreme bars where you want them for a tight end, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't he just? What a pickup that one is. And he's also a big
Another
guy as well.
absolute unit.
Yeah. So what was wrong with him?
Why did he last this long?
Yeah.
Well, he failed the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not a first round. He's the 7th round.
No, I mean that's right. That's the only thing that pops to me is wrong with him. Other than that, his bars.
So I mean, like, if you take a look at the bars,
Yeah, the
running
statics.
cost him.
Mhm.
Statics cost him. I don't see. I mean, yeah, I don't see too much else that would really cost him. But I'd say route running and statics are probably what pushed him down a lot, and then people maybe just overlooked him as you get less time to make your choices later on.
Yeah, for sure. And his position value as well, right? We talked to, I'm a big tight end fan, but
Not
yeah, so
everybody is.
he was a nice pick. And if you have a look in the 5th round, we talked about Columbia has got a pretty stacked roster already, and they picked up the McTevin. But look at the quarterback they got here. Is it this guy?
Is this your guy?
Marlon McGee.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, that's the kind of guy I would love to find down the draft board, right? As a, I don't know, for me, a potential starter at some point, right?
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
What I don't like about him is the accuracy. I like that bar to be higher. But I mean, that's nitpicking on a 5th round pick, which, for a 5th round pick, this is an amazing pick. It's potential starting quarterback.
Maybe the 3rd round passing
even
as
like
well.
even like a trade bait candidate when he develops.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
For sure.
this guy I think could absolutely turn into a starter.
Mm-hmm.
He's already 37% developed, which is high for someone you're getting listed late.
They have a quarterback already, of course, right? So this guy is not going to start for them. I don't think,
No.
at least. They got Spoon, that's right.
Yeah.
But that is a solid pickup down the rounds for, an aging, for a good veteran that's going to retire in a couple of years, right? I think that was a really nice job.
I mean, I would agree with Tuson. This guy looks like he'll end up being trade bait, right? Because
Yeah, I think he's trade bait.
well, I guess I don't know. This guy's on the team for one more year probably, and then this guy could be an excellent backup, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, if he gets to a point where people start viewing him as a starter, you're going to get offers that I think would sway me at least into trading him over keeping him as a backup and going to find somebody else as a backup. Because
yeah, that's true.
honestly, I always view it as like if I have to go to a backup, because there are very few what I would say are quality backups, and you have to pay a lot for them. And I tend to pay elsewhere. It's like if my quarterback goes down for the season, that season's lost.
Yeah.
I wanted to message Kevin and Swing Dog the bad news that when he picked this guy in the 5th round that I liked him, which means he's not going to be any good. What else did you see that you liked, Damien?
Yeah, not so much necessarily people that I liked, but a couple that I thought. Yeah, if you ever look in the 4th round, there's a couple of guys there. So there's a couple of cornerbacks here. Smistad, I guess one of them is called. Is that what he's called? Smistad? It's not how you would say it if he was Danish, but he doesn't sound very Danish to me. He's right in the middle there with Hartford.
Oh wow!
So they've already
Hartford, quit killing this draft.
Yeah. So I think Hartford are one of the teams that probably don't feel they've had a bad draft, right? They've picked up players all over the rounds.
They should. I mean, they've won the draft as far as we've looked. Absolutely.
I was curious what you guys thought of like the profile on this guy, basically, because he didn't really pop or anything. But I had him Draft Analyzer, I think, by default rates him pretty high, because that run bar, I think, counts for quite a lot in the scoring. And I looked at this guy a few times and I was like, yeah, but I mean, who cares if he's got 100 run when he's a cornerback, right? Is that? But I don't know. I think he looks pretty useful. Was this guy 1st round worthy in a draft full of terrible secondary players? I guess that's my question.
If you needed a secondary guy in the 1st round, this does look like the guy you should have taken.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
Because he's got the interceptions too, right? His endurance is fine.
He's not 1st round worthy as a prospect. I think there's reasons he lasted to the middle of the 4th round. As a player, if you know the hindsight, I would love to have a 61 overall corner in the 1st round. But as a prospect, I don't think you could have drafted him in the 1st round unless you just really are on top of your shit.
Like, yeah, if you knew and you interviewed and you knew for sure, like, yeah, absolutely.
Even then, like, is it worth it? Because who else?
You should be able to get him later.
Yeah.
So.
But he wasn't hiding behind his bars, right? He came out looking like that, basically.
You're right. He doesn't have a great grade. He has one decent combine. Like in terms of attraction, there's not a lot to like outside of his bars, right?
Nope.
And you want things to sort of line up a little bit. And this league in particular is very high combine correlation. So.
But interestingly, his agility is better than all of those guys we looked at that didn't make it, right? He's got a green agility. The other guys all have white.
Yeah. And he's not very well developed. Is he old? Young? I mean, nothing really jumps out about this guy other than he's got great bars and he's small too.
Yeah.
His size doesn't make any fans, but it's a great pick. I'm very jealous.
And then there's another guy in the 4th round, another corner that I thought I'd ask you guys what you thought. So he's O'Neal. He went to State College. And the reason I picked up this guy was more like the extreme variance in his bars between the man-to-man and the bump and the zone, right? Again, like I said, I don't know. I'm not sure how to read a profile like this. Is this guy an insanely good outside corner, or is that zone going to hurt him?
I don't know about insanely good, but I like guys like this.
Yeah,
You do, yeah.
I'd play him as an outside corner once he's developed.
Yeah. So he's another really nice pickup in the 4th round, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, he's gone up too.
Oh, and he's gone up as well. Okay. But he still kind of looks like that, didn't he? I think what you showed there.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. I would definitely agree with kinda. Like, I see the interception bar stands out to me in that he had 34. He failed the position drill, and yet he's got 61 future interceptions, which is above and beyond what you would expect here. He's on the high end of Rundy, very high end of Mandy, if not above it. You know, right where you high end of the bump.
I wasn't so curious about why did he end up like this. I actually picked up this guy just because I was curious what you thought of his bar profile, basically, right? Like I say, I find it hard to read guys like this, whether that zone hurts them if they're playing on the outside as well. I think he's going to be, he's a guy that I'll have a look at in a season or two to see how he's doing, I think.
I mean, and I also think it's a lot of like based off of what plays you're running on defense.
Do you? That's really interesting. So, I mean, so sort of, a cover 3 cloud, you would suspect he's not going to be that great, right? Because then he would be in zone if he's outside.
Yeah.
Well, if he's left cornerback, he's in man, right?
Okay, but if it's whichever one it is, which has got the 2 outside guys in zone.
That's Cloud has 1 guy in man.
Okay.
It's maybe you're thinking of Sky that has them all back.
Yeah, sure. I can never remember which way around it is for those 2.
But look, I tried to take a guy like this in the top of the 3rd round, right? With man and bump, low zone. Like they look similar, but I got the shittier version. He got the better player here.
Yeah, I actually quite like your guy as well, to be honest.
Oh, he's much worse than this guy.
Yeah, but yes, he probably, or maybe he is, but I still quite like him. I think for a 3rd round pick, he's fine.
I'll bear that in mind.
I've picked worse quarterbacks than that.
When you've got a 3rd rounder for trade, I mean, you want this guy for a 3rd?
Not right now, but we'll see how he does. There's a difference between trading and convincing yourself that it wasn't so bad.
All right, who else jumped out to you? Anybody?
Maybe we could just have a quick look at a couple of the wide receivers because they're always fun, right? So there's a couple of guys who, again in the 4th round, Strickland and Ravanola. So we saw that there was like kind of thin pickings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Ravanola. The AI adding to the Horsetooth wide receivers.
Yeah, and if anybody is looking for a team in the IFL, those ogres have got a hell of a roster.
I'll tell you this right now.
They have a solid draft, but
I'll tell you this right now. We're gonna get like 2 people that watch this in the IFL and 0 people that aren't in the IFL that watch this.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at these wide receivers. Ravanola, I don't think he was on my radar at all. Strickland, it's hard to ignore that 4.2840, so I at least looked at.
Exactly. And I think in the kind of predicting the draft, Strickland's name came up a couple of times. People as a guy that could be looked at in the 1st round by a team, right? Which is why I picked him out actually. And then Ravanola, of course, maybe just have a little look because he turned out pretty nice for a 4th rounder.
All right, here's Ravanola.
Wow. That's quite a turnaround from those bars.
Yeah, he had a
He's
good
got
grade, right?
max. Yeah, he had a good grade, and he's got a max static bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd be brave to pick this guy in the first round, no doubt
Yeah.
about it, if you were
Oh
using Draft
yeah.
Analyzer. Right? But
Yeah.
he's got
Yeah.
a sign or two, right?
You can see two. I guess two. Good grade and good static.
It's got a good static, good grade.
But he's got 19 soul and he ended up with 70 route running. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
his position drill isn't great and he's got really good
Look
avoided
at his
drops.
agility. Look at his agility.
His endurance has jumped.
Mm-hmm.
Like huge.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a huge bump for this guy.
Yeah.
And
He's the only.
this is
He's
a
the only
potential
risk.
volatility
He's the only
bump
guy.
with his
Yeah,
big
okay.
play going from 82 to 87.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I hadn't spotted that. He's the only guy I could see that was an obvious big bump from the receiver class.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the AI got him.
Yeah, they're not bad at that. Here's Strickland, who had crazy good getting downfield in big plays, so it's always going to be an interesting look. And
Yeah, he's got like elite combines, this guy, right? 428, 674.
yeah, those are right up in the
Yep.
Right.
top of their categories.
Yeah.
And then
So again, a little bit like that cornerback O'Neal. What do you make of a guy like this, right? There's a few receivers like this floating around the league, right, where they have huge getting downfield, big play, but they don't really have the route running to back it up. I'm always curious about these guys. Like, they look useful to me.
Feed him 6 screens or slants.
He can go deep, this guy, can't he?
He can, yeah, he can. You can also run him, but I really love the yak ability that he has.
Yeah.
I mean, how many targets a year can this guy get?
I mean, he can get 5 a game, can't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say probably
Alright, so-
about 5, so that's like
So you're looking at a guy that gives
80?
you 25 yards a game tops there. Say he catches 3 out of those 5 passes for 8-9 yards a catch. Unless you're throwing,
Yeah,
unless you're
that's
throwing
good, that's-
some chuck deep balls.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, 40 yards a game maybe, if you're lucky.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's the. I'm not brave enough to take one.
I mean, I think
But I
this is a
look
good
at a
place
guy
for
like
him to
this and I
go.
just like think, he's just send him to the post over and over. And most of the time he's a decoy runner, and sometimes he'll get the ball and just make 35-yard play just like that.
I wonder.
Or he won't, because his route running is so bad, he will just be a disaster. I don't know. I don't know what will happen.
I wonder if he might be of some value as an outlet receiver.
Yeah.
Where like he's not supposed to get the ball, but if it doesn't work out and he's open, he gets the ball. But
If you want to stretch the field and create some space underneath, then he has got the bars for that, I think, doesn't he? I mean, his avoid drops is fine. His big play receiving is huge. He's fast as hell. Yeah, he's brave enough, right?
yeah. Would you care that he's 5'9", sending him on deep balls?
Not out of the slot, I don't think. Or maybe if you were running like a spread, so you have a lot of wide receivers on the field sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. Literally means I don't know what to make of somebody like this. But I always look at these guys in the draft and get tempted to draft one and see what you can do. Right?
Yeah.
So far, I haven't.
Well, you should do that sometime. It's fun.
Yeah, I tried to trade. Not trade. I think there's another guy called Jonathan Jorgensen. I think in the league. I can't remember where he is. He's got a very similar profile to that, and I did have a little go at getting him in free agency one year.
Yeah, I mean, he's got better bars, but one of those types of receivers that I kind of played around with Bradley Cotter. who I use to stretch field or run like under routes and rely on yak, and I did finally make it work. I don't even remember what team he's on at this point.
I thought he used to be on LA.
He was, I think, but he was a free agent again like last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's at Orlando.
His bars have gone down a bit, but like early on,
I mean, look at this. You got 10 yards to catch with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was like deep ball or screens was all I'd give him.
Right, and that's sub 40 yards a game.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a guy I was curious about. Elias Matthews. I thought that he might be okay, and I still think he might.
Yeah, he's got the flattest bar profile I've ever seen.
It's kind of annoying. Like, can we take the special teams and bring it down and give more to the endurance and third down catching just so it could be a straight flat profile, please?
50 or 0 for everything.
Yes.
What do you guys think? Is this guy, is he stuck in the 30s, or is he going to come up a little bit? Is he not a useful player, maybe a useful player?
I think he's still going to be stuck in the 30s.
He's quite old as well.
He is. He's a 25-year-old.
25.
I think he's going to end up in the low 40s and be useful enough with some route running, some getting downfield. He obviously some of everything in the receiver categories.
If he was on my team, I would play him in some formations, and when he asked for $9 million a year, I would just let him go.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what would happen if he was at Calgary. But I would use him.
On my team, this would be very low use. He'd probably be my 5th wide receiver.
Actually, that is
I do give him my 5th wide receiver like 2 routes where he's the primary each game, but I don't use them much.
That very flat profile does actually bother me a bit. If he was exceptional in something else, anything, right? Third down catching, 80. Then I could clearly find something to use him for.
Yeah.
But everything on 50, there's just too many receivers that are better than him, I think, on most rosters.
Yeah, it's tough to find an actual use for him where you don't already have a better option on your roster.
Yeah.
All right, Boots, Tuson and I have sort of talked about this doing our mock draft, so I'm curious where you land on someone like Harrison De Silva. Should he have been in the first round? What was that noise?
That was me understanding why you were asking me this question. He's little, isn't he? He's short, at least.
He is short.
Which would...
And also...
Yeah, for me, no, because of his endurance, mostly. I think if I'm going to take a first round defensive end or defensive tackle, even this guy could be in a 4-3, it's going to be expensive to re-sign, and then they need to play a lot. And this guy is not going to play enough to justify a first round, I don't think.
So where do you value a guy like this then?
I mean, if he was in the first, when you take somebody in the first round, your goal is to re-sign them, right?
Sure.
When you take somebody in the second round, you can live with not re-signing them, I think. So his exceptional talent everywhere else, he's going to be a very useful player, I think. But yeah, he's another one that I would actually pay attention to now to see how well does he perform, to be honest, because like if his pass rush percentage is 9% per year,
I don't think he can get to
then
9.
No.
why?
Well,
Because of his engine.
no.
Well, his endurance won't be a factor, right? Because that's just on how many. It's just a percentage of snaps.
I mean,
So if he plays less snaps,
that would only be a factor if he was trying to make this guy an every down player.
yeah.
So it's more about, I think, height and 75 pass rush technique. Like by the time he gets there, right?
Yeah, maybe it's a little low for a exceptional pass rusher.
I mean, it's good. It's very good. But I wouldn't call it exceptional, right? So I think 9 is an exceptional number.
So I think there's reason to not take this guy in the first round, but
Like there's like 12 people maybe that got 9 or better pass rush last year.
yeah.
9 is hard to do. I don't.
If I was
think
taking a defensive end in the first round, I would actually be doing it with the expectation that he could be a top 12 pass rusher. I think if I thought he couldn't be, I'm not sure I would take him in the first.
Well, I don't know what kind of magic Joe is doing to get this guy 9% pass rush percentage, but for the most part, most of us need some real big numbers there.
Yeah.
This guy, Jesus, what is that?
So he's running a 3-4.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I think the only way that you can get this particular prospect, because I have a very similar one in TFL, and I did actually get him to a 10.2% pass rush percentage. So the way to do it, because I remember this specific season, you blitz as much as possible. You have to be as aggressive as possible. And that's how you're going to be able to do it. And
So-
my guy is very similar profile. He's 5'10", he's 301 pounds, so pretty similar build and everything. The only difference is my guy definitely had a lot more endurance. He was a 3-down defensive end instead of just a pass rush specialist. But like really the only way that he's going to be able to reach that 9% mark is if you're blitzing on like all the plays that he's in.
So did you have this guy going in the first round in your mock then?
I did not. I had him as I think he got picked exactly where he should have at the top end of the second round.
Yeah.
All right, there's a couple other guys here I was curious about. Let me see if I can find him. Here's Blanchett, your running back comp for life for the next 8 years or so.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really good pick for the end of the second round.
Yep. He was on my radar for third round pick.
Swing Dog is a good drafter, and it's showing here.
Because you knew who I wanted in the second round, Rylan.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting that guy.
Here's another great third round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I think I mentioned earlier that I like looking for defensive end value a little bit more down the draft. If they're not obviously, top 5 type producers, I would prefer to find them a bit lower. I think this guy's going to be really good.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of have a similar, what I do is, unless I see what I think is going to be a bona fide defensive end in the first round, which I have done with Stubanes, I did with, I forget his name, but the 3-4 DN that I had forever in this league. I've done it in TFL as well. Unless I see, a bona fide stud DN, I'll look in rounds 2 for 6. And I also do the same with offensive line, where I kind of feel like there's some value in those mid-round develop the fat guys, on both sides of the ball. So you can see, I did it again this year in the IFL draft, where I drafted a couple of offensive linemen in the 4th to 5th round range, in hopes of their bars turning out. If you take a look at my line, like my tackles are usually first round, and then my guards and centers are usually somewhere in the 2 to 5 range.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot on the defensive line too.
The defensive line can, especially in a 4-3, it gets expensive, right? So to me, you have to kind of keep drafting those guys because you need to. You're going to cut some that are good players, and you need cheap replacements. So you just have to keep taking them. And guys like Gaines will be ready to step in when I have to let somebody go when they inevitably ask for 25 million a year and I can't afford it.
Yeah. And I always have a running joke of I'm always able to find the 50 plus overall good defensive lineman in like the 6th round because I've done it like 5 times.
Yeah. Defensive tackle, I think, in a 4-3 especially, you can do that.
Yeah.
So
we'll always get lucky. But
I've done it with DNs too, both 3-4 and 4-3.
What do you guys think about this cornerback? He's the last guy on the green page. He has a really high grade. He's got great combines. What kept him out of the first round?
Last guy on the green page, sorry? Means what?
You say means what?
Oh, on the, after the reveal, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the promising young players that's been drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've just closed him. Yeah, so what kept this guy out of the first round? He's got a great grade, great combines.
Yeah, so I had this guy on my shortlist.
Did the bars just not look good enough?
My biggest guess is low bump and run, which he obviously came out better with that than what his bars were showing.
I think for me it was specifically because I was looking for an outside guy. So I was looking for bigger guys and bump man over zone, right? And the scout report shows him as more like a kind of slot type guy, to me at least.
Yeah.
I mean, based off of his profile of bars, you look at him, and I remember kind of looking at him going like, this guy would be perfect at a safety if he wasn't too small. He wasn't 5'8" and 183. So I felt like his bar profile fit more of like a free safety, and you know, he didn't have the size to really back up that bar profile.
Imagine he had to. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, I think he's on his way to being a 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his bars are all so developed.
He's got the agility again, right? That's I like that agility to be less than 7.
But he doesn't have
he had an insane combine. Like
he does have an insane combine. Yes.
All the ones that you care about, he is good or great, and he had a high grade. Like
I'm gonna say,
I think this was probably people were looking at the bars and being scared because of the bars.
If his man-to-man had been centered on 75, he might have gone top 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That probably would have been a bit high, but I mean, I can easily see, I think you're dead right too, so I think it's the scout look at the bars was the thing that scared people here. He had that very high 6.3, didn't he? That I've definitely heard people say that you need to pay attention to that, it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, development percentage is going to factor into grade, right? And so he's really high developed, and that's going to bump his grade up a little.
Okay.
But he looks like a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on my shortlist for 212 or 214, wherever I picked it. So he went just before I had a chance to take him. That's right, I got that linebacker instead, didn't I? Which I'm not unhappy about either.
No, I don't think you should be. He was in consideration for me, and I wish I had pulled the trigger. Because I grabbed this.
Yeah, that's safety it took. He didn't quite happen, did he?
No.
I mean, if he had an interceptions bar, he could be a free safety.
Yeah, he used to have one interception, and
But
PS2 wiped it out. I was all excited. I was excited after the draft that it wasn't a 0, and
Yeah, you're
then
like, hey, one, he could maybe be a free safety. PS2 wipes it out, zero, you see a 0, you're like, oh, no, he's trash.
yeah, that's enough. Damien, what else? What else did you have for us to talk about? I think you had
I don't know. I think
topics.
yeah, we've been rolling quite a long time, right? I don't think I want to pick out any more individual players, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we touched on a few things, right? Hartford, really nice draft for them. I thought Iowa had a really nice draft, assuming they're going to run the ball a lot. They looked like they got stronger from an already strong position, and Columbia had a really solid draft, and they were already one of the top teams, right? So
Hey, look at this fourth rounder.
I'd also like to, that's an insane pick. I'd also
Yeah,
like to shout out McAllen. I think they did really well too. And another thing that I think is like in draft class like this, where everybody is feeling really down on them, to come out looking like you definitely won the draft or you're one of the top teams for the draft. That's huge, because a lot of people are feeling like they got worse or didn't really get what they wanted out of the draft. If you come out with a win in a weak draft class, like you set yourself that far ahead for development for the next couple of years. So I think that's big for all of those teams.
Yeah, I wish McAllen would take some offensive players.
Yeah,
they have so much talent on defense now, right?
They're trying to be like the next 85 Bears or Baltimore Ravens, win by defense.
Yeah,
I want to see it work.
Yeah, I would like to see it work as well. I really would.
All right. Well, were you trying to call it there, Damien?
Not especially, but.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. What else did you have to talk about?
No. I'm relaxed either way, to be honest.
All right. I can't remember the list of things you sent to me about for Thompson.
Oh, I think when we were just chatting before, I just kind of said maybe have a look through the first round, see how things shook out, pick out a few interesting players from down the draft rounds, right? I also had that center that Iowa took as well. Actually, he does look very, very nice for a fourth rounder. And then I don't know, maybe just if any of you guys if you have any thoughts about. Yeah, you already picked out McAllen, Tuson as having had a really good draft. I agree. It might be a nice place to kind of end it on just who did well. Is there anyone jumps out to you, Ryan?
I haven't really reviewed the draft like that. Just scroll through some teams, I suppose. See if I see some.
Oh, actually, while we're on Miami, they look very solid from top to bottom. They didn't have a lot of draft picks because they've been trading a lot. But if you're just going to search by scout rating Miami, then they have a lot of very solid depth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you hate to see this. This guy's suspended.
Yeah. I also think, Rylan, you had mentioned earlier Norfolk when we were going through like the first round picks. So maybe that's a team that you think did well?
Yeah, I mean, they got one absolute stud, right? I think they did a good job picking up Tennant as a free agent.
Yeah.
Butler we didn't love, but he's going to be a useful player. Looks like they've got a starting guard here, probably.
Mm-hmm.
They got some depth for sure. They had a lot of picks, it looks like. Not sure how many of these guys are undrafted, but.
We'll just go to standard view.
Oh, here's a couple. 3 of them look undrafted.
Yeah.
4 of them.
Yeah.
I liked what Pittsburgh added. Adding.
Yeah, to an already solid roster as well.
Right, like I thought adding to their strength on strength here with their pass rush with this guy It was a good move because they already had one of the best pass rushers
Look
out
out.
there.
Look out. He's inactive right now.
He's inactive.
Yes. You passed him. He's 3 down from where you have selected.
Sorry, I'm blind.
Yes.
Leggett.
Yeah, no, they had a defensive end who I thought was really, really good. Did they trade him?
Maybe.
Is he a linebacker?
I do remember them having
This guy.
Oh, Lester Morant, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great 3-4 linebacker. So yeah, added to their strength there. We touched on Raleigh had a good draft. They brought in a lot of young talent.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that Salt Lake added a bunch more talent to our division, excuse me. They brought in a bunch of good free agents, and like this is a 3rd round starting guard, a 4th round really good guard, a 4th round starting center. They did too well for not having a 1st and a 2nd rounder.
Yeah, this is red zone, right?
Yeah.
And he has the best quarterback, maybe. I actually like the guy at Atlanta a little bit better, but
Yeah, I mean, what, top 2, top 3 quarterback, absolutely.
top 2 guy. Yeah.
Texas looks like they did really well.
Yeah.
They got a 60 running back, 50 wide receiver. Oh, Bruce Barnes. Now, if memory serves, this was a guy with like high route running, high big play as a draft prospect.
Yep, that's the one.
And as a 4th rounder,
Oh, he also went to the 4th round.
you love that. So yeah, I'll say Texas did well in the draft as well. This is a nice looking.
Yeah, this guy looks pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
They picked up a drafted free agent. That's good too.
We'll see. It all starts again on Monday.
Is that right? That's fast.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
It's fun this league. It's super competitive. There's so many good teams that it's underrated for how difficult it is to win in this league, I think.
Yeah, probably. What do you think? Are you able to give a win-loss prediction for yourself? Put you on the spot here.
I was a little bit disappointed with this record last year.
As you should be, right? I think I assume Tom put out the Pythagorean, and you were unlucky by at least a win or 2.
Yeah. I'm on an incredible run where I don't know how Colorado keep beating me, right? But it's with safeties, fumble, return, interception, return. It's crazy, man. I even in the last game of last season, right? As I put up 35 points, he put up 45. He didn't. he didn't even get close to scoring 45 in any other game last year.
That was his only game in the 40s.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and it's 2 seasons in a row that has happened. So I think if I can even split with Colorado, then I'm onto potentially a winning record. I've got quite a nasty start as well. I've got Salt Lake City up first. That's a good GM and new GM, right? So I don't know what to expect. I got Columbia second. And then down the stretch doesn't look that nice either.
You got to play West Virginia and Colorado, Norfolk, and me. And before that, you've got 4 road games in a row.
And 4 road games. So I need to be 5 wins at the bye minimum, preferably 6, and that's not going to be easy. But to make the postseason, now I'm talking about, right? So I don't know. My overall strategy, I would say, is to just keep trying to build a good team, and eventually it will happen, right? And if I'm coming 4th in the division and winning 8 games, that just shows that that's a hard division, right? So that can flip.
I can tell you right now that the NC West is what I feel like the powerhouse division in this league. Like it's always just a fight in that division.
Yeah.
And I think all
With,
four
with
of you
the
guys have great
AC
teams and are great GMs.
with the AC East creeping up, right? Because we've just said that Norfolk and Hartford have had really solid drafts.
Yeah.
And I am not expecting Columbia or West Virginia to drop much from that point either, if they drop at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think that division could be a horrible knife fight as well.
Tucson, have you looked at your schedule at all?
A little bit.
You've also got a tough back half of your schedule with 4 road games.
3 easy holes to start.
I mean, let's not even stop at the 4 road games. Let's call it 6 of my last 8 games are on the road.
Oh God.
Those three easy homes to start as well.
I honestly think I'm gonna fall short of the playoffs this year. I think I'll probably be around 8-8 or 9-7, and I'll miss.
You think Pittsburgh wins the division?
Yeah.
Your
They
biggest-
were the better team last year. It was pure luck that I managed to win the division. My team, like I had a very strong first half of the season, and that carried me because I lost momentum in the second half and just couldn't get it back.
Your biggest hope there maybe is that you might get 4 divisional wins, right? Because you've got a GM team and a Dakota team that is surely going to be better, but it's hard to come up from 1 win to.
Yeah,
Super
and
dangerous, right?
I think like there's a possibility that I split with Pittsburgh. Like I win my home in week 17 and he wins his home in week 8. But I think Pittsburgh right now has the best team in my division.
But five divisional wins would be a very solid foundation for reaching
Yes.
the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I do expect 4 divisional wins, 5, but I don't think it's going to be enough with how my schedule is playing out, unless I can take 3 of the 4 games against the NC division that I'm playing, which I think is NC East, right?
Wow, I've just noticed Pittsburgh was the
No,
only team
it's NC
to
South.
sweep the division last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they went 4-6 outside the division.
Yeah, and
that's hard to do
play
twice.
NC South, so 3 out of 4 wins against the NC South is not going to be easy.
No, it's not.
So, I think that's where I'm going to falter. And of course, I have to play Vancouver, which let's just pencil that home game as a loss.
Well, only once.
And then
No,
you go,
I think I've beaten Ryland like twice since I've come into the league. He has my number.
and then you go
Need
to
more.
Tijuana. Tough matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
I think I had
schedule
that.
looks rough.
I think I had that back-to-back last year as well. Vancouver, then Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I hadn't really looked at my schedule much. I don't love three really hard road games to end the year at all.
That's quite tasty.
Yeah, I'm not winning 13 games this year. I would be happy. I think our division is going to be super competitive, of course. I'm hoping it's so competitive that 11 wins might win it, and maybe I can get to 11.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even look super promising.
Well, you're on course for 12, 13 wins until you aren't, basically. I mean, you have got a relentless win total over the years that I played in this division, so.
Not only that, but Ryland always finds a way to just kill it on point differential.
And the best wide receiver in the league as well.
No way. I'm pretty sure Rick Clayton is the best wide receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Rick Clayton.
And and maybe third best.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs between Harris Strong and Oda 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends what you like, I
That's
suppose.
it. Yeah. I like both.
Actually, I think Harris Strong is clearly better, isn't he?
Oh man, for me, they are both perfect. I actually see. I actually see.
190,
It depends.
100,
Like
100?
really, the big difference is what do you feel about adjust to ball? Like how much do you think that matters? I think
And I
Oda 6
see
has a better
Higgs
bar
better.
spread.
Yeah, I see Higgs better. I actually like what I'm seeing there. He's only an 80 rated wide receiver. My scout reckons he's better.
Okay. What does your scout think?
I think he sees him 83, 84, but with maximum bars in some of those top ones, as opposed to the 80, 75, 66
Yeah,
that you see
so
there.
look,
I see him
no reason
74 out of
to fear
79.
him. No reason to double cover him. He's not that good.
Yeah, exactly. Now I've seen him for real. I can relax.
All right, guys. Well, that was fun. Thanks for making it happen, Boots, Mr. Damien.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. You two guys, it's been a pleasure to have a little football chat with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.